What is up, guys? Welcome to the Huddle, your weekly playbook helping you gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're all here to help you win. For our new viewers, welcome to the team. I want to bring out of the gate this week to remember to give us a like, a subscribe, interact with our videos and our content here. It helps us greatly bring you topics every Tuesday. This week's topic is the ninth rendition of the Blue Collar Cruise. And with me, as always, Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez and our very good friend, Jorge. What's up, Jorge?
How's it going, everyone?
Jorge, what's going on, brother? Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So we got a array of topics as I pull stuff up here and turn things down. Got an array of topics to go through this week. Everything from current affairs, technology, including we got flying robot stories and wood that's as strong as steel and all kinds of stuff. So we were talking a little bit beforehand about what we all thought was really cool. I thought, maybe the best place to start would be the last topic, understanding your performance gap. So it's kind of talking about how trade businesses and construction companies in general have a performance gap in adopting advanced technologies, and that it's threatening the long-term business value. So this performance gap is identified as the difference between a company's actual results and the desired outcomes. As we all know, to go off script here, we talk about chat all the time and probably use chat GPT and advanced versions of chat GPT pretty often now. So how has that one thing changed the way you guys approach business?
I use it for everything. If I think of something, I put it in there, and then he makes me think of 10 more ideas that I wouldn't have thought of if I wouldn't have put it in there.
Yep. I mean, I
Yep.
think it's a reflex now, right? Like it's an everyday thing. You
What's
kinda,
Chad say about it?
you
Oh,
kinda
for everybody.
drag and drop, and you put information in there, and you let them do a little bit of work in the background while you start gathering more information on the next item, and um, yeah, I don't want to say you become pretty dependent on it, but it's like having an assistant right there.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The the amount of information that has and the way that it's being used, how widely it's being used now is another big. I mean, I know people who would not touch technology. Sorry, I'm turning off my phone ringer. It's going off. It's going to go off time after time if I don't turn her down.
Time after time.
But I know plenty of people who you would not. I mean, they don't even necessarily use email that efficient. Starting to use Chat GPT and getting ideas off of there. I remember just a few conferences ago, it was a CFI conference I was sitting with some people from the FCICA and just showing them what a couple of bots that I had, I would say trained. Hindsight, they weren't trained at all, but as I have learned more, but about what that really means, but it blew them away. Well, I continue to be blown away by it because it keeps improving, but that's just one really low kind of low hanging fruit, right, so to speak, about the technology that's out there for us to use.
It's because it's at everyone's fingertips and everyone can download it. We're not talking about like software that you have to pay for and everything, because there's the free versions. Definitely don't put your sensitive information in the free versions, but I mean, it's out there. And I think the best thing about Chat GPT is that you can actually ask it what you should be asking it.
Yeah. Well, and like Daniel said earlier, it makes you think. But what another thing that Chat GPT, I mean, it just opened the door. It's like it opened the door for all of the AI to. You didn't really hear about AI that much until Chat GPT came on board. Till it came out, you didn't really hear all this AI talk. Now, technology adoption is completely reshaping not only uh, construction, but almost all industries.
Everything, dude.
Article
Everything.
goes on to say that especially among general contractors and subcontractors that continue to invest in AI, cloud-based platforms. You guys are in the cloud, right? On with Teams, you guys leverage Teams
Yeah.
heavily.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whether it's moving to the cloud or using AI and other productivity tools that it's helping everybody improve cash flow, reduce operational time, increase profitability. I know it's helped us in many forms just to draft more official like letters of collection letters, things like that when we're not being paid by a general contractor or something. Stuff we a lot of times would have went to an attorney and spent 300, 400, $500 to get drafted. I can give the same result, which is just to, hey, tell them I'm not messing around, that I want my money. Just utilizing ChatGPT.
Yeah, and also it's good for translating over information like from English to Spanish for me, for example. It's a bit better than Google, I would say. Google's pretty
Really?
good. Yeah. So you can use that. Daniel was talking about it earlier actually, and we were talking about it, and I kind of just went through it earlier and I was like, man, this is pretty good. I had never used it before.
And
So
it's
when he
like,
told me about it, I always use Google. So
and you can like be really specific too, right? Like, hey, I want it to be from this region over here, or I want it to sound like this. And
Yep.
I've used it
Yeah, and
before, but
and all that.
I couldn't remember which one it was that I used, and it was that one. I've used it once before, and I was like, "What did I use the last time?" And I forget because I don't use the tools as often as I should, and when they're there and I start playing with them, then I'm like, "Okay, that's the one I used." But I always tend to revert back to Google for some reason. But that one was a good one.
Look, you
Like
use it
Daniel
too
said.
much. You use it too much when you go home and you're on the phone and you're having a conversation. And you're like, the kids are like, "Dad, who are you talking to?" And somebody says, "Oh, he's having a conversation with Chad." It's like, yep, I sure am.
what's up, Benjamin? I mean,
What
Kevin.
up, Ben?
Kevin.
Yeah, a lot of this article goes on to say that a lot of the research categories into small, medium, and large businesses, each with unique challenges, talks about lowering overhead, but also it gets on as it goes on. It's talking about enhancing marketing operations for companies that we know, like Topline Pro, Service Titan. I think a lot of people know about Service Titan, and these firms have found a way to utilize the AI to enhance their customer interaction. As we're rebranding Go Carrera and moving into a new era of that, we're implementing a lot of AI into it. We've hired a new development team, which is an AI developer to assist with things like integration, stuff that was almost impossible before, where integrating with a QuickBooks or a structure or Measure Square or any of these is almost impossible to get the API the way you want it from the firm, whether it's like RFMS or Job Runner, any of them. And we're utilizing AI to make that integration where you can just drop a work order from your current system right into our system, and it builds out the work order, and then you just publish it. So it takes away a lot of the steps, and we're leveraging AI huge now because of all this, all that this article's talking about with, the improved use cases, the improved or lowering overhead and improving operational efficiency. So that's why companies like Service Titan use it. You know what I mean? Like if you invest carefully into AI systems, the risk is much lower than the reward. They're pretty cheap. So you can get these easy tech upgrades without like, buying some huge piece of software. And I think that's the coolest thing.
Right. And if you have a Microsoft account, right, and it's a business account, you actually get Copilot included, and it's equivalent to the paid version of ChatGPT. So it doesn't share your sensitive information like the free versions. So if that's something that you have already, just you got to go in and enable it, and then you're good to go. And
Well,
I didn't know that, and I have that. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, that's why you that's why you guys
That's why I
joined
jumped on.
the Huddle,
Yeah,
man.
that's why. You see?
I want to add to this, right? Like, so for everyone out there who is not adopting AI and who thinks that they don't need it, I'm just gonna. I share with my son. I gave him a little folder for him to progress, and these are the things that he has. Like, he's got type chat. He's got governor of Michigan. These are things he's asking them. When I'm installing Parallel, should I install onto a USB drive? Or like, these are all straight questions. AirPod connection issues, RC electronics and motors,
Bro,
missing
you want
AirPods. Like, that's my 12-year-old son, you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Microsoft Excel's been around for centuries. It seems like
Dude.
you want to have help building a formula that is damn near an algorithm. Get on ChatGPT and work with it a little bit in building a formula. I've built formulas that I didn't even know were possible, and I was pretty good on Excel.
And that's the thing, right? Is you ask him like, "Hey, I want to build this formula. Can you help me out with it?" And then he builds something, and then you can actually take like screenshots and stuff and say, "Hey, it's not working." And then he'll be like, "Oh my!" And we keep on calling him he because we call him Chad, right? So it's it's a thing with us, and it's like it's the screenshot, it's not working. He'd be like, "Oh, you know what? Try this instead," and it's a constant back and forth until it's like boom, magic. It just everything works.
Yeah, I usually start with some formula and say, this is what I wanted to do. Here's how far I've got. Show me where I'm missing. And boom, like it will blow your mind what it can do. Just to continue here, past Chat GPT, one of the things this article points out is that larger contractors are already heavily invested in AI. And it goes from everything to managing the business to bidding to customer service. I know architects are utilizing it to build buildings or design buildings natively from AI, and then they go put their, their finishing touches on it. So if you're talking about the really interesting part of this article to close this topic out is it says for business owners looking to sell within the next 5 years, understanding and closing their performance gap is vital. That means adopting technology that will lower your overhead and increase your revenue. By assessing financial data, peer benchmarks, and industry cycles, companies can better determine their competitiveness and value, crucial for deciding whether to grow, sell, or step aside. So if you're looking to sell your company or you're looking to move into another industry or another sector, any of that stuff, you've got to be really eyes wide open on technology in general, but AI in particular. What you guys got to say about that?
That's 100%. And it's not just AI either, right? It's just any systems that you can use. So our epoxy guys were in here earlier and they were talking about, submittals and stuff because they're pretty new to doing projects by themselves. And they were talking about how they don't do anything on the computer. They have their wives do it. So I showed them how I've been, making how-tos and stuff with a program called Scribe. And it's like step by step, every mouse click, it gives you a screenshot and then you go and tell people exactly what to do. And it's just building stuff like that. So that way, like you say, you got to have this stuff in place so that way when you're ready to walk away, it's all the systems are there.
Yeah, one of the coolest things you could do is have a training platform, and if you have one that's kind of enabled in some of these ways, we use a product called Talent LMS, and you can do videos and all this stuff, uh, processes, procedures, how to do things in different software, where to click, where to go. When you're onboarding new employees or you're growing your business, I don't care how small you are, spending a few $100s a year on a training platform and building that out as you go. You could also do that in Google Drive, for example. You can just like Google Sheets or a Microsoft product for sure. You could just have a link to a video or a link to a
Right.
deal and an explanation. That's a poor man's way, as they
Just
call
screen
it,
recording, right?
to do it. Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's
You
what
can
I've
do
been
screen
doing.
recording the whole thing.
I'm like, oh, I'm about to, make this invoice over here, and then it's like, oh, let me just put it into the how-to. That way, I'm doing it already. I might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. It really helps when you're onboarding new people. I can tell you that.
I'm still on that
All
old
right.
DOS mode with the little green matrix screen and all the little things coming down.
Yeah. We got to get you up to speed, bro.
No, I
I
have to
think
look at a lot
you're
of
ahead of
videos on how to do
You're
how-to
ahead of
videos.
most already because you are actually keep track of your income and expenses. So that's really the first step into all this. And we talk about things that need to happen, but that's your number one. So getting
Yeah.
QuickBooks or FreshBooks, something, an Excel spreadsheet, a Google
Mm-hmm.
sheet, anything to track what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, staying on the technology train, even though that was a little bit more about how technology, it's hard, like everything is going to have a little technology feel, I think. But this next article is talking about flying construction robots. They've undergone their first test in site-like conditions. So this new firm from Imperial College of London and the University of Bristol is, as they say, pushing the boundaries of construction technology by testing drones capable of performing mid-air material depositioning, a process known as aerial additive manufacturing. Essentially, they're using drones to, like a crane, lifting materials up to multi-level properties. I don't know how big this is getting from a um, weight standpoint, but they talk about, that unlike the ground-based robots, which we did an episode about the ground-based robots that kind of drive around job sites and take pictures and will write up reports about production from the last set of pictures that it took to the new set of pictures it's taken, which I thought was freaking pretty cool. If you remember that episode, it was that robot that drove around and it would take pictures and then it would say, drywall not complete, rough in, electrical looks like it's about there or whatever. And the next time it drives around, it's like drywall's in, electrical, and you can tell it things too. So somebody can be sitting at a computer programming, like telling it, like, we passed our electrical inspection, drywall to start. And as it's driving around, it's like drywall started since electrical passed on blah, blah, blah. I thought that was pretty cool. Well, this thing is like, that's kind of what it's talking about when it talks about ground-based robots. But aerial construction drones can operate at a height and in otherwise inaccessible spaces. So like a crane can't get everywhere. This significantly expands the scope and flexibility of building operations. They've also developed a tailored autonomy framework, which addresses key issues such as flight coordination, depositioning, precision, and how to scale the technology to larger construction tasks. So it's just fascinating. Like, if you watch, I was watching Terminator the other night,
dude.
and you
Yes,
watch that, and you're
yes.
like, dude, we're.
And
I hope it
there,
doesn't end up like that, like the bad part of it. But from a technology standpoint, we are getting there. Like that's not so far fetched anymore.
so when
We're
I was skimming this, that's what I
designing
was thinking.
buildings. Robots
Is
are
it?
designing, or in artificial intelligence is they're designing buildings. We're starting to do more building with these things. It's crazy.
I started thinking about. So when I was skimming this the other day, is of course, old school. Like I don't know how many, like Daniel might not remember Terminator, but right, but I remember it. But like Terminator, and then the part of the movie The Matrix where they have the drones are like keeping, they're tending to the people that are in the pods. But then you start thinking like old school video games where they actually have things being delivered on items, and people are offloading them. It's like,
Dude, I seen the first video I've seen of them actually delivering an Amazon package with the
oh,
drones. You've seen all the fake ones, but this is
yeah,
an actual one, and it like has a it doesn't land on your property. It stays about 20 foot up or whatever, and it just drops a zip line down, drops off your package, and comes back and pulls the zip line back up.
that's
Well, not only to build, but there's also robots that I've seen that they can carry water, and if there's a fire, it'll just go and turn it off. And even there's robots that have flamethrowers. I'm like, that's crazy.
So one starts and the other puts them out.
Yeah. That's yeah.
You got to sweep it before you mop it, brother.
Well, speaking of like Terminator, there's a company called Partner Robotics, and they offer something called the P900, and it's a robot that uses SLAM navigation, visual positioning, and vibration systems for precise tile placement. So this
Sounds
little guy is just
provocative.
putting thin set with tiles, and it's just going, and it doesn't rest. It doesn't take smoke breaks. It doesn't.
Yeah, it
It's
has
real
like a suction
precise.
cup. It picks it up and then
Yep. I
Yeah.
was just talking about this with the large
and
format
then
tile.
takes the next
Mhm.
one. Yeah.
Talking about Terminator. We were talking about
Yeah.
Terminator, and this dude talks about he hears flamethrower.
John,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I heard something about flamethrowers.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
know, John Steyer is the Florinator.
Yeah,
this
he's part
continues on
Terminator.
to say
He is too.
the article continues to say that early demonstrations have already shown promise in applications like rapid on-demand repairs and modular construction techniques. While the potential is significant, challenges still remain. This includes ensuring material durability, developing reliable systems for outdoor environments. I was thinking this when I first read the article, like what happens with a wind gust. You know what I mean?
Well, they already self-adjust. Like Daniel's had
Yeah.
the smaller versions, and
It's hard to self-adjust when you got
2,000
half a ton of
pounds.
material
Yeah.
on the bottom or
And
something.
what
You know what
about
I mean?
winter? Yeah, winter months and all that stuff too.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. It's just a continuation of the last the last article, but you can see where this stuff is going, dude. I think we talked about it when we first started this podcast, that like you'll be amazed where technology's at in a few years, and here we are a couple of years ahead, and it is. I remember when none of us used Chat GPT, just on this podcast. We've only been around for a couple hundred episodes, so
I think if you go
imagine
back, it's only the past year or so when it's really taken off, and we've started using it like daily.
as part of
Yeah.
our business operations and not playing around with it.
Yeah.
Because I played around with it for quite a while, but it kind of amazed me what it came up with and how real it sounded.
The only flaw I see with it right now is that you run out of memory a lot faster than you think when you're teaching it and trying to have it reference everything that you're inputting. But there's you can attach your Google Drive to it now and store and draw from that information. And there's other ways to use it to where you're not running out of storage.
It'll be good if it would make me breakfast tacos in the morning. The robot, right? That way, I don't have to wake up so early.
Like on Honey, I Shrunk the
Well,
Kids. Remember he had the breakfast thing? on the
that's probably
tablet?
already there.
Oh man,
Yeah, Rick Moranis
mean-
did it already, bro.
that's
Well,
true.
I thought what you're supposed to do is keep a George Foreman in your room and then wake up in the, an hour or so before you're supposed to wake up, then put bacon on it and close it so that way you can wake up to the smell of bacon.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
not that turkey bacon, the real bacon.
That's from an
dude.
episode of The Office when he burnt his
Turkey
foot.
bacon
when
doesn't
he-
even count, bro.
Mm-mm.
Bro, come on, man. That's a party foul right there.
Here's some AI for you guys.
Went to the moon. The moon seemed like something Delta could get to if you really think about it. Like, you know what I'm
Delta
saying?
Airlines?
Yeah, like if they.
Not Southwest, though, right?
I mean,
They seem a little shaky.
yeah, it seemed a little bit shaky on there. Some of the people on there are wearing shorts. You know what I'm saying? When you get on, I don't trust anybody in shorts, especially at church. I find that the moon. Say we went to the moon. The moon.
Dude, I love those videos.
That's hilarious.
So, and I watched the how-to on how they do that. So what they do is they take a picture, they just the few pictures of them, and they're like, make this photo a prompt, and then after it makes the photo a prompt, they say now make them babies.
Yeah, dude.
I
Yeah.
watched it
Theo
just to laugh
Vaughn's
at
one
it.
of my favorite comedians anyway. So when him and Joe Rogan start talking like babies, it's even funnier,
You know what though? He's not that funny live.
Well, maybe not. He's off the cuff kind of funny. You can't I don't know. I
He's
haven't
not-
seen his
he's-
stand up, but
I wouldn't
he
seen him
definitely
live.
has some quick comebacks and some odd he'll just come out of the blue with something like
Oh, trust me, I know he's hilarious, right? And that's why I was like, yeah, I want to go see him. And then we went and seen him, and like, I don't know, 40 minutes into his set, I just looked at Tanya and I said, "You ready to go?" And she was like, "Yeah."
Well,
Hey, everybody has off days.
that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he's having an off day. All right, let's keep going here on the
Yeah.
Blue Collar Cruise, episode 9 of the Blue Collar Cruise.
Rollins said that his wife calls him a robot, asks him where his off switch is, but everyone knows he doesn't have an off switch. He's been running for 150 years already.
That dude's hardwired. There's no off switch.
You just got to stop his fuel, man.
He's
You-
like
you
an
gotta
old school
break the coffee
electrical
machine.
box. It's hardwired in.
He should be the new spokesperson for Duracell batteries, right? Or is that Energizer? Energizer keeps going.
Energizer Bunny.
Yep.
Folders, batteries.
All right, now we're going to move on to sustainability. And this is obviously a lot of sustainability derives from technology. So you're going to get right back into technology here. But in a major breakthrough for sustainable construction, scientists have developed a steel-like wood by infusing it with nanoscale iron, offering a renewable and eco-friendly alternative to traditional building materials like concrete and steel. By tapping into the structural potential, I'm not even going to try to say the word. I better try. It's like lignocellulose.
Yeah,
You can ask Chad how to say it. Cellulose.
Yeah.
Cellulose. Yeah. An
G
abandoned
is silent.
plant compound found in wood. Researchers are enhancing its properties to meet modern construction demands. With about 181 billion tons of wood produced globally each year. This innovation leverages a widely available resource and potentially transform how buildings and infrastructure is designed. You imagine driving through the country and going over a wood bridge. It spans like a concrete bridge would.
Ooh.
They say infrastructure. The only infrastructure I can think of would be bridges.
Roller coasters.
Right. Hey, that would help the old town roller coaster that I've rode here at our local amusement park. That thing was falling apart, dude. It needed some of this nano iron.
Well,
Yeah, we
one
had
of
the
our
Rattler over here. The Rattler at
Dude, we had
Six
parts
Flags.
falling off this thing.
I never got on it. Never will.
Yeah, we go to Cedar Point and they have one. It's one of our favorite ones, but it closes all the time because there's always issues with it. And It's wood, so what do you expect?
Yeah, and it sounds scary, man, when it's just passing by, and I'm like,
Creaking.
That's the one
not
here at
me.
Michigan Adventure. That one, not, I don't know if that's considered even a roller coaster anymore because they've come a long way since that one, but it's like one of the oldest wood framed roller coasters.
Not
Still
unless it's
loud.
made out of this nano iron wood, brother. This says that
It's
through a
infused.
cost-effective chemical process involving ferric nitrate and potassium hydroxide, ferrohydrate, a naturally occurring iron oxide mineral, is embedded within the wood's cell walls. This method strengthens the wood without significantly altering its weight or natural appearance and produces a material that's both aesthetically pleasing and functionally robust.
So it's almost like they're speeding up the process where you have the wood submerged in water for so long, right? And it
Right,
gets,
where it doesn't rot or
And wood,
anything.
what's that in the wood? Yeah, they just found a way to speed it up. What's it called? Drawing a blank right now. That's what happens. How fossils
are you talking
made.
about reclaimed wood that's been submerged for a lot of years?
Yeah, and it gets really super hard when they take it out and let it finally get some sunlight and dry out a little bit.
Well, this is it looks like it's already going. They've already started to make it suitable for like some buildings, but it says bridges, furniture, and flooring. How would you like to try to nail that crap down, right? Nail
Is it
down some
flammable? Makes me
fortified
wonder if it's
wood.
flammable too. Is it
Uh,
anti-flammable
well,
or
it says its fortified wood retains its ecological advantages, suggesting a future where sustainable architecture does not come at the cost of performance or design versatility. The ecological side of that, I'm assuming it's going to, if they're doing it for buildings and such, it's going to match the flame ratings of wood for sure, if not better. Somewhere between wood and steel, I would imagine. That's just a guess. But yeah, that's pretty cool, dude.
That is that's
Wood
the
beams is nearly as strong as steel.
What are they gonna do, man?
I don't
They're
know.
gonna start having
Producing
LVL.
flooring out of that stuff is going to be crazy.
I wonder if they're
I wonder
gonna
what kind of
like
flooring
produce the
they.
flooring first and then introduce everything so that way they don't have to worry about cutting it, right? Do it beforehand and then put it. But then at some point, it's like, is it gonna come pre-finished? Because can you imagine trying to finish something like that?
and the
I
cost?
would think it's going to be pre-finished and glue down.
Yeah, something.
Because nailing through the tongue of an iron infused wood, you know what I mean?
Yeah, iron infused though. Like, you think that that's gonna have any bearing on penetration, or is it just on the deflection that it allows, and how susceptible it is to the water, rain?
The elements.
I don't know. Yeah, the elements. I don't know, dude. Like, I'm looking
Well,
at
it's
this. Like, this could be
already,
a lot of different things.
wood's already used in all this. There's certain spans it can't do and certain things it can't do because it's not as strong. But they're talking like it's going to be replacing carbon intensive materials like steel and concrete. Iron infused wood
Ooh.
could help reduce global carbon emissions and promote cleaner construction practices. It also could potentially spur new job creation and lower building costs. Yeah, that's like a win-win and a win. You do
Yep.
all that, you got your environmentalists are happy. People are getting lower cost buildings, like job creation. There's a lot to that.
Oh, it says red oak.
Yeah,
Guess
red
we have to
oak.
start a red oak farm, huh?
Yeah. Now's the time, dude. Get out ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Now we just got to figure out how to grow it like bamboo.
Yeah, bamboo, or what's that other Arunda donax is what it's called. It grows like a weed, but it's super sustainable. It's used in some building materials like plywood and stuff.
Oh, really? It's above my knowledge base, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, brother. Just bring
Yeah.
bring that little edge knowledge. All right, let's move on to. Well, let me ask you first. Would you build a house out of that stuff if it comes out?
Let's do it. Hurricane proof.
Let's do it.
I mean,
Depends on cost, right? Like, is it how much more
Well, if you're in a
expensive is it?
hurricane zone, you're
Yeah.
building out of concrete and steel.
Just make
Yeah,
it nice
Dude,
and
but it's
round,
just
level
as strong.
5.
Come on now.
yeah,
Says
If
it's
it's
supposed to
rated
be
for
just
it.
as strong. They got to start testing this stuff out.
yeah. You know how you have to put hurricane ties on your roof, bro?
We just had a couple tornadoes over here last week, so
Dude,
but
we
they're
had a
fake- they're fake
windstorm
tornadoes
like
compared to your
crazy here
guys's.
last night. Took down a bunch of trees in my neighborhood. Uh, I honestly thought that we was getting ready to pop off with the tornado. I woke up about 1 o'clock and kicked up the weather app. That's what we got here in Kansas. You always got the weather app ready. And sure enough, we were in a like what they call a hook on one of the storm systems. It was hooking around our city, and dude, the freaking wind was nuts. Bunch of
Dude.
tornadoes dropped in Oklahoma too, so they need to just build some of these things in Tornado Alley and see what's up. Let's put them to the real test, to an
Let's do it.
F5 test, baby.
right. Eric over on Instagram said that Japan is full of concrete buildings. They got
They
This
have to,
storm-
I'd imagine.
and then over here, like when those tornadoes were over here, man, I didn't even wake up at all.
I was still at the shop.
The siren is like
Scary.
less than a mile from the house. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, dude,
Knocked
you
out.
definitely need one of these then. You're not
It's
even
scary.
waking up for it.
The worst thing we have down here is just a bunch of mosquitoes. That's it. and 106-degree weather. That's it. We don't have any of that other stuff.
No scorpions.
Nah, not that
Yeah,
many.
They're there, bro. They're hiding.
They're there, but
They'll
they're
get
more
you
out into the country
Like that.
areas,
like that.
rural areas. Yeah, not around here. We just got mosquitoes, and they're just annoying. That's it.
Hummingbird size.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Look like horse flies.
Man.
All right. Next topic is well, I'm going to leave tariffs for last. I think everybody's a little sick of tariffs, but we'll get into that if we have some time here. We got about 15 minutes left. This is probably a little off the all the technology talk, although I bet you there's plenty of technology in the prisons. It talks about how the U.S. states are spending billions on new prisons. I know that we're doing a new prison, and there's a few. We got some pretty big prisons here where old Leatherface is here in Kansas and locked away.
Is that where it originated? Is in Kansas?
No, I think it originated in Texas, but we locked him away in El Dorado Supermax.
Yep.
And then Leavenworth, and we got a lot of prisons around here. But they are spending billions on prisons. Could be a bit of the new administration, but it says amid economic strains and ongoing social challenges, several U.S. states are making substantial investments into prison construction, reigniting debates about criminal justice priorities. Alabama is leading this trend with almost $1.1 billion prison currently under construction, while Georgia and Nebraska are investing $1.69 billion and $350 million respectively in similar projects. State officials, including Alabama Governor, argued that these facilities are necessary to address issues like overcrowding, poor conditions, and inadequate mental health care. Yet critics question whether these costly initiatives are the most effective or humane path forward. So, who wants to talk about social? because this
Dude,
is a little
I mean,
bit leaning
so
towards the social thing. That's do you put people away in prison? All of this stuff. I think
well,
it's
this is
It's
a little
expensive.
weird. It's a little weird. I'll be honest, man, because like now we're going from rehabilitation to comfort, right? Like the idea of prison is you don't want to go there, right? You're supposed to want to stay out of there, but now it's like, how can we make this more comfortable for prisoners? And before anybody like gets mad at me because they got family in there, trust me, my family's been in and out, and just so you know, like it's local prisons here in Michigan have a close place in my heart because I had to go visit many of family members in them. So, but I just don't understand. Like, it's more of this article is telling me it's more of a business than it is rehabbing for economic growth. And you know what I mean? Like, and I know
yeah.
different
I'm
levels.
a. Go ahead. Sorry.
I say I know there's different levels, right? Like you have people who are serving a short sentence, people who are serving life. I know that there's different levels, but I think they should just have different levels. And like someone who's, say, someone who's a red level, there should be a special place for them over somewhere else. Someone who's green has only got a little bit of time, maybe made a couple mistakes. There should be a place for them. Like this is.
Well,
It's a little weird to me.
that article talks about how much it costs to just support one person that's in there, and I think it was like 35,000 a year or something.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah,
that's
I
a
think
lot.
that's where it
35.5.
kind of comes out, man. It's almost a salary
So
Yeah,
you're giving
to
people in prison
support
more money
to
than they give
support.
for
yeah.
like
Well,
So
the
welfare
cost of
assistance.
housing, the cost of the building, the electric bill, the heating bill, the AC bill, the food, um, all of that stuff. Gone are the days that the prisoners actually got out and worked, and I don't think they're building too many license plates these
Yeah.
days, that kind of thing. Like back in the day, you went to prison and you also worked, like you covered some of and the prison. In fact, Kamala Harris got in trouble for this because she was using California prisoners uh, for state cleanup and construction projects,
She got in
and kind of
trouble
got
for
in
that.
trouble for. She got in trouble for it based on maybe the ethics behind um, turning a profit on the prisoners as opposed
Oh, okay.
to
Yeah.
having them earn their own earn a
Earn money
certain
for
part
it.
of their stay. Because at 35,000 a year, that's not a salary in the U.S., but pretty close to the lower end of probably the
I was
average
gonna
pay.
say
Maybe it's about the average
because
pay. I don't know. I haven't looked that up in a long time,
so
but
minimum wage is only $21,000 a year. So and I did that at 10.25 an hour. I think that's what minimum wage here in Michigan is.
and can you imagine if everybody was just a good person and there was no jails and we wouldn't have to spend that money on that? It would go to education and other things. Man,
yeah, well, that would be a beautiful society. I don't think we've ever
yeah,
been without problems in our society. A lot of this, I'm all for humane and uh, adequate mental health, because sometimes it's mental
Yeah.
health issues. Sometimes people like nonviolent offenders that just steal or do those kinds of things, or um, they're doing it to get off the streets and get 3 square meals a day. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
That sounds
um,
bad, but you're absolutely right.
dude, that's a fact. And so I think to make a meaningful impact on that whole thing, you got to make a meaningful impact on homelessness, and that's a whole different rabbit hole. And I'm an expert in carpet and flooring. I'm no expert in how to solve the homeless issue, but you got to find ways to even when someone's locked up, they're still a human being, and treating them with respect, and having the condition shouldn't be like at home, or else it's like
Yeah.
few places should be worse than prison, but it doesn't mean it has to be inhumane.
yeah.
Correct. I remember
But
getting.
they're building the crap out of them. It says the expansion of the prison system poses a significant burden because you're opening up. They kind of, it's the build it and they will come kind of thing. Like even a prison, you build it, it's going to be full in no time. And I think that's kind of what it's talking about. So the economics of mass incarceration demand, some scrutiny. And how do you deal with rehabilitation? I don't know the answers, but I think some people believe that, having more mental health access to people would be, and we talk a lot about mental health on the podcast here and how people can get weighed down. We know, we've had experts on here talk about it, and you can get weighed down and make some bad decisions. And so having adequate mental health access could sure help, possibly with the overall problem, but that's just my 2 cents. Emily says, dang, our minimum wage in Connecticut is $16.35. That's $34K a year. Yeah, that's about what it costs to house a prisoner.
Still not enough to house a prisoner. So
Yeah.
Pretty close. You're almost there. $17 an hour probably get you there. That's pretty crazy, though. The cost of housing a single individual or incarcerating a single individual.
Average. That's just an average, you guys. That means there's a plus or minus, right? And the only reason that's nuts to me is because you figure, say you have a prison with 10,000 people, and out of 10,000, 50% of them are able bodies that can operate and help that thing operate like a machine.
Yeah. Well, there's about I think it said 2.1 million people that are incarcerated. 2.4. That's multiply that just at an average.
Dude, I know. Like,
it's a lot of money.
Well, that's why the critics are arguing that these billions could be spent, kind of like what you said earlier, Jorge, more directed towards education, healthcare, and social services to get to the root cause of the crime and provide a more sustainable return on investment. People get that don't end up in prison. They don't cost society the $35K. B, they can become productive members of society, pay taxes, and increase the return on the investment that you spent in those other areas like the education and different social services.
And also maybe running like how-to programs when they're in there to maybe learn something new, maybe take their mind off of being in there and learning some type of
go teach them how to
trade.
do some flooring.
Right.
Boom.
There are programs that
Yeah.
recently came up where they're starting to do flooring programs in jail systems. So
yeah, there's been a few of those candidates get put on Jumpstart, and I believe Flooring Basics has done some. Robert Varden and Dwayne Pruitt and Jonathan have done some of the training. So yeah, I think it's, a lot of us need second chances in life. And so just because you go to prison doesn't make you a bad person. I do believe that mistakes can happen. You gotta, having a way out is kind of key. A lot of people don't see a way out. They only see that. And the article even talks about, 1 in 4 children face food insecurity. That's the early beginning of when this kind of like take what I need because I need it. I need it to survive. So if we can, offset some of that stuff, then maybe we don't have to build such big prisons and have so many people incarcerated. So, we're coming up on the end. Too. That's a deep subject, and we're going to finish on this subject. So just so everybody knows, we're going to finish by talking about prisons, how the U.S. is building a crap ton of them. It sounds like many other states. I mean, we weren't even listed in there as Kansas, and I know I'm doing a prison project right now, so I'm sure other states are involved.
Be a good boy, good girl, so you don't go to prison. Stay out here doing flooring.
That's right. Learn how to do something productive, something you love. Jorge's a good example of doing something you love. The guy's always happy, enjoys what he does. Jose and Daniel are both the same way. We're doing this life thing with flooring almost. It becomes kind of a brotherhood, and I think that it's probably that way in a lot of different industries, but flooring's pretty special that way if you just get involved. So I implore everybody watching, if you're a flooring installers, get involved with the Huddle. Jump on, comment, get to know us, call us. We'll give you, anytime somebody wants to reach out, I'd love to talk to you and help you get into the industry, help you get plugged into different training. Jorge is a great resource. So is Daniel and Jose on getting plugged into different opportunities in flooring and different ways that you can earn a really good living doing something that is with your hands, a skill that, although there's a robot that puts a single piece of tile down, I guarantee that thing, you give them something a little more complicated, like a multi-sized pattern, we got a whole different issue, we're going to be around a long time putting in floors. So it's a great business to be in, a great trade to learn.
Yeah, and stay tuned for upcoming. We're going to be doing a couple of tours around Georgia. Some of the facilities out there are going to, and this is more for people who want to go out there and just see some of the products that they work with on a daily basis. So we're trying to set that up directly, through the manufacturers, so we can just see the way they want us to do it. So reach out. We're going to probably be doing one soon in Georgia with Stanton. So I know not everybody works for those products, but the people who do, reach out to me.
Reach out.
We're going to be doing something soon on that. So, and it's just, you don't have to be in any organization. It's just, we want to go out there and check out how they want us to do the projects that come along with whatever it is, whether you're doing LVP, LVT, carpet, and we can
It's like
definitely
material, right? Like you're going there, you're getting a tour of how it's manufactured, put together, and you might have a better understanding of like, oh, that's
why it's crooked, and then they take out that piece and they throw it away. But sometimes they might miss one or two. But no, most of the time, quality control is good.
A lot of those mill tours, they'll back up with right into a training, teaching you how to put it in. So, all right, crew. Well, it was a great episode at the Blue Collar Cruise. Thanks for joining us. Everybody in the audience, please tell us what you might want us to dig up out there in the construction news. What's interesting and thought-provoking for you. I know John would love more flamethrowers, so we'll try to find some articles on on that for you, John. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. Remember to give us a like and subscribe. Give us thumbs up. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. We'd love to hear from you guys. So you're what makes this train keep going. And until next week, we're out.
See you guys.
Adios.
Thank you,
Adios,
everyone.
amigos.